Envisioning an array of future outcomes is precisely what gives humans their advantage over other animals. The Oracle of Delphi was originally constructed with the sole purpose of forecasting the future to whomever paid gold. The actual oracle that inhabited this ancient temple was known as Pythia. She was also crowned the high priestess at the Temple of Apollo. Pythia made many predictions that were interpreted by priests to determine what she said. In ancient times, they believed that she was communicating with the gods. However, we now know today that there was a chasm in the ground where she made her predictions. When Pythia prophesied, she was most likely inhaling the gaseous fumes, invoking a hypnotic trance, and not speaking with holy deities. Jelle Zelinga de Boer and John R. Hale explain how. As slippage occurs along the fault lines, adjacent rock masses are heated, vaporizing the lighter petrochemicals in the limestone and expelling gases upward along the face of the faults. Once faulting has opened such a pathway, gases continue to rise, although the volume would slowly decrease over time. We believe that this is exactly what happened at Delphi. The rock masses deep in the earth were heated, and they intermittently produced gases that rose up along the intersection of the two fault lines, eventually entering the adyton of the temple through one or more fissures over which the Pythia sat. The water and travertine from the sanctuary of Apollo, which were analyzed by Jeff Chanton, revealed traces of the light hydrocarbon gases found in the Isthmus of Corinth and on Zakynthos. Could this explain the Pythia's state of intoxication in ancient times? Excerpt from Archaeology Odyssey. The Oracle of Delphi. Was she really stoned? From the evidence of Huffers and the experiments with ethylene, we know that subjects normally react to inhaling small quantities of these gases by entering a benign, out-of-body trance. They can remain seated and answer questions, but their tone of voice and typical speech patterns are altered. Recovery takes place as soon as the subject is removed from exposure to the gas, and complete amnesia about the trance follows. During the time Pythia was an oracle, lyric poets were born and wars soon broke out. The Oracle of Delphi played a big part during ancient Greek times. After more than 1,000 years, in 393 CE, the Roman Emperor Theodosius ordered the closure of all pagan sanctuaries. The Oracle of Delphi provided Greeks with answers to their many questions and gave them the feeling of purpose in their confusing world. Pythia was said to be possessed by enthusiasmos, and thus could channel the god Apollo and foretell things in the future. An example of a time when the Oracle of Delphi changed the lives of the ancient Greeks was when King Croesus sent messengers to ask the oracle if he should engage in a war against the Persians. The oracle forecasted that if he attacked the Persians, then a mighty empire would be reduced to rubble. The king, thrilled, initiated war. To his great surprise, his army was instantly destroyed. The empire that the oracle was referencing was the king's own empire. This is just one of many times when the Oracle of Delphi affected the lives of ancient Greeks. Another time, Greek citizens approached Pythia and asked her who was the wisest. She replied, "Socrates, a famous Greek philosopher." When Socrates was told this, he reacted in shock and said that he knew nothing, so how then could he be the wisest? He started questioning people to see if they were wiser. At first, it appeared as if most people Socrates asked were wiser than him. However, on further inquiry, Socrates realized that they were just conceited and didn't actually know what they were talking about. Then it hit him. He was the smartest because he realized he didn't know anything. He had the honesty and self-awareness to admit it. These are just two examples of how the oracle impacted the ancient Greeks. Many people these days think there are no parallels between the Oracle of Delphi and our present times. I beg to differ. While the Oracle of Delphi was made centuries ago, one can argue that it indeed has a modern-day parallel. This parallel is called visual foresight. The Oracle of Delphi of the future is robotic artificial intelligence programmed for recursive learning. Probably the most substantial breakthrough in the field of robotics occurred a few months ago when UC Berkeley researchers programmed a robot that they currently call Vestry. This robot has one distinctive difference from the others. It can see into its own future. Remarkably, Vestry has the power to imagine its actions before it performs them. An example of this would be hitting a baseball. Just like humans, Vestry has the newfound ability to imagine the best way to hit a baseball. This may seem as if Vestry is calculating the best angle to hit the baseball, but in fact, the robot is doing something much more profound. The intelligent machine can actually virtually simulate all of the potential outcomes and choose the wisest. This innovative technology that Vestry uses is called visual foresight. Visual foresight also allows Vestry, or any other robot that has this technology, to interact with new objects and to develop an understanding of them. The more time these robots interact with the new objects, the more they understand the object, and the better they are at making predictions about them. This is different than how it used to be. In the past, a programmer would have to tell the robot what the object was and provided the physics and structural parameters of the object, for instance, how it moves. Vestry is in fact the first robot with this innovative visual foresight. For example, Vestry was able to move an object from one place to another on its own without prior knowledge. This may seem minor, but it portrays a much more significant meaning. It can make predictions on its own without being programmed to do so. The self-navigating robot is learning autonomously. This newfound technology worked through 3 steps. First, Vestry needed time to manipulate various objects on its own. Second, it had to perform a specific task using these objects with no other knowledge than the information it gathered by handling them. And third, by using visual foresight, it chose which option was the most optimal and the quickest. Simply put, the robot was making predictions about the future in the present moment based on surveying and analyzing a number of endpoint outcomes, all without having to rely on human intervention. The implications of this new technology are truly mind-boggling. Deep Visual Foresight for Planning Robot Motion by Chelsea Finn and Sergey Levine. A key challenge in scaling up robot learning to many skills and environments is removing the need for human supervision so that robots can collect their own data and improve their own performance without being limited by the cost of requesting human feedback. Model-based reinforcement learning holds the promise of enabling an agent to learn to predict the effects of its actions, which could provide flexible predictive models or a wide range of tasks and environments without detailed human supervision. We develop a method for combining deep action-conditioned video prediction models with model predictive control that uses entirely unlabeled training data. Our approach does not require a calibrated camera, an instrumented training setup, nor precise sensing and actuation. Our results show that our method enables a real robot to perform non-prehensile manipulation, pushing objects, and can handle novel objects not seen during training. This, of course, has already happened to some measure with the emergence of self-driving cars. But the difference with fully actualized visual foresight is the ability to simulate what could occur even when it is not presently happening, and then planning ahead to make the necessary adjustments just in case it does. How does visual foresight work? Chelsea Finn and Sergey Levine. We presented a learning-based approach for basic non-prehensile manipulation. Our method uses a deep predictive neural network model to plan pushing motions. We use a convolutional LSTM model trained on unlabeled data collected autonomously by a team of robots. This model predicts future camera images and image space pixel flow, conditioned on a sequence of motor commands. By inferring the commands that will move individual points in an image to desired target locations, we can continuously plan for pushing tasks even with novel objects not previously seen during training. Since the model is trained entirely through a self-supervised procedure, the method is well suited for continuous self-improvement through constant data collection. Our experimental evaluation demonstrates that our method outperforms simple baselines based on geometric heuristics and known hand-to-camera calibration. Predictive models that estimate distributions over future images are particularly promising for robotic control, since planning under such models corresponds to maximum likelihood inference for determining a sequence of actions that maximizes the probability of the desired outcome. A promising direction for future work is to integrate the latest advances in such probabilistic video prediction models, e.g., into our approach. Evolution endowed human beings with one great advantage over other species: self-reflective awareness that allowed for the advent of language. Our consciousness is a virtual simulator par excellence, and as such, it allows us to ruminate and learn from the past, as well as plan and envision possible outcomes in the future. The distinguished physicist Michio Kaku lucidly explains his theory of consciousness, and one can readily see how it relates to the future of robotic intelligence, particularly in light of visual foresight. Level 1 consciousness. Example, reptiles. Understand position in space. Level 2 consciousness. Example, mammal. Understand relation to other organisms, emotions, social hierarchy. Level 3 consciousness. Example, humans. Understand relation to time, ability to imagine the future. Essentially, scientists are attempting to construct a high-level form of artificial consciousness in machines so that they, like ourselves, can not only learn from past mistakes, but also make plans in the future that produce the best optimal results. We do this already, but within certain cranial limits. The hope is that in the future, we can build robots that are much better than ourselves in making accurate and useful predictions about how and why certain actions are more fruitful and beneficial than others. This would have wide-ranging consequences, from ecology to medicine to economics. Technologically speaking, we are creating our own version of the Oracle of Delphi, but this time we are not relying on outdated mythological beliefs or superstitious thinking. Instead of invoking magical incantations, or succumbing to misunderstood gaseous fumes, we are designing elaborate software programs that have the ability to allow machines to learn autonomously and then analyze tomorrow's outcomes today. Science, in other words, is taking the promise of Pythia and making it a reality in machine hardware. This can and will occur because artificial intelligence, unlike our own, can evolve at an ever-accelerating rate. Vestry is merely the forerunner of a new kind of oracle, one which is algorithmically programmed and which can access enormous amounts of data worldwide, and, on the mathematical basis of game theory, divine what the Greek gods of yesteryear, such as Apollo, could not.